This is the Elevate Construction Podcast, delivering remarkable content for workers, leaders, and companies in construction wanting to take their next step. Get ready to step out of your comfort zone with Jason Schroeder as he encourages you to do better, live a remarkable life, and expect more. Let's go.
Welcome to the Elevate Construction Podcast, where we help you with your personal life in addition to work. My name is Jason Schroeder, and today's podcast is about your marriage. Now, I'm not a marriage counselor, but I can help you do better than you're doing right now. Believe me, in construction, we are so bad. Our industry is riddled with divorces. We don't spend enough time with our family, and we work too many hours. So please, you will love the content today. So why will you want this content today? Because countless people have said to me, Jason, you have saved my marriage with this advice. I have a better work-life balance. I get home on time. When I'm home, I'm present. My wife, my husband has never been happier. You literally are the only reason I'm still married. And so if you can believe that even just a little bit, then you will love the content today. So here's a quote. And I really, really want this to sink in because this has to be our target. This has to be our rallying cry. You must spend 15 hours of quality time with your partner for your marriage in a week. And this is key. Let me say that quote one more time. You must spend 15 hours of quality time with your partner for your marriage in a week. Now, that's a lot of time. If you go through and work plan your week and you create your leader standard work, you will see how hard it is to get 15 hours in there. But I do want to make that point that if we strive for 15 hours and we get 12 and 10, that's good. But if we strive for none of those, if we say, 15 hours is way too much, then we'll get like 3 or 4 and our marriages will break down because we need to have quantitative time in addition to qualitative time, meaning we need time and quality here. Okay, so let me tell you a story. So I read a book, and this book I'm going to use for the outline of what I'm going to say. However, there are many, many, many marriage books. If I was going to reference and read every marriage book ever written for this podcast, then I would be spending the next 40 years just even, getting started a little bit, just reading like 1/16 of the books that are out there. So I'm going to choose one of the most popular ones, one of the ones that I have found successful in scaling excellence in the construction industry, and that's the 5 love languages. And so my story centers around that. I read that book about love languages and about how we need to take care of our spouses, our partners' needs, and we need to find out what their needs are. And so to make a long story short, I found this out. I profiled my wife. It turns out that her needs are acts of service and gifts, and mine is physical touch and words of affirmation. So if you took both of our tests, they're completely inverted, meaning she has a physical touch score of 0 and like a words of affirmation score of like 1. And those are like my top scores. And I could care less about acts of service and I could care less about gifts. So we're complete polar opposites. And so I'm thinking I'm pretty fancy. I'm going to go figure this out, right? And so I start getting her things and I start like taking care of her and I start focusing. I get home, I'm all jamming. I'm like, giving first, not expecting anything in return. And life gets pretty remarkable. And then one day I remember Katie's like, bro, like I'm good. It's too much. And I was like, okay, because I was like really overdoing it and just going way over the top. And I was actually starting to smother her a little bit. And she was like, bro, back off. Anyway, so I learned from that. I kind of tailored it back a little bit. I pulled back a little bit and kind of evened things out. But I was really thoughtful about gifts. She likes to chew ice, so I get her ice. She likes, different things. And so I'd always, keep her water cup filled up and things like that. And our relationship really, really grew. And it wasn't this situation where we were taking from each other and there wasn't any emotional currency in the bank, if you will, right? And we really have lived ever since that time in kind of this marital paradise. I mean, every now and then we get into arguments and things like that, but it's about giving and it's about really putting time and effort into your spouse. And it's about making sure for construction professionals, especially, that we're giving ourselves the opportunity and the choice to bring home 100% of ourselves to our family and to keep that part of our life whole and happy. When I was first in construction, I've told you this on a previous podcast, I would work 90, 95 hours a week. I was there Saturday and Sunday. I was there till 11, midnight. And in fact, before I had religion and family and everything that I have now, I would have to drink like a half a bottle of wine to fall asleep to even get up the next morning and be able to go to work and function. I was that addicted. And so when I got married, I was still addicted to work. And when I would come home, my wife would be talking to me about different things, and all I have on my mind is anchor bolts. And I'm thinking about the day for the next day. And I'm thinking about what I have to do, and I'm stressing, and I'm just so preoccupied. I was never mentally present. And so that was a big shift for me to go from that to, okay, when I walk through that door, I'm 100% for my family, for my kids, for my wife, and I'm going to give first and expect nothing in return. And I have to say that that's really worked out. And some of the things that I'm super proud of, having 11 kids, I've calculated that I've changed over 3,500 diapers and have been very active in chores for a long, long time. And so I can tell you from experience a couple things from this little story. If you focus on your partner's needs, if you give them what they need, if you show that you care, if you come home ready to give, if you give 100% and you serve without expecting something in return, life can get remarkable. Now, why is that an important thing for us? Like if we love work so much and our wives are fine with it and it's not a big deal, and we've decided on that, okay, well, that's fine. But even if you're getting all your promotions, even if you're getting everything you ever thought you wanted, even if you have the fame, the glory, the adulation at work, all of these different things, it's not going to amount to very much over the course of your lifetime. Let me tell you a little story about that. So I was in a leadership training course, and they asked us to write down what milestones we wanted to hit in the latter part of our life. The first part of the exercise focused on us writing down things that had happened. And I was super proud. Like every 3 months, I had something major, like remodeled the house, did this training, got this promotion, started work here, this, and that. And I'm like, dang, I'm like really making good progress here. I'm trucking. And then they said, okay, now write down the milestones in your life from now to when you want to die. Do you want to die at 80? Do you want to die at 85? Do you want to die at 90? And so I'm writing this down. I'm like, that's kind of a weird question. Like, when do you want to die? However, it got me thinking. So I chose 80, 85. I don't really want to, live in a lot of pain and discomfort and arthritis and things like that. So I was like, okay, I'm going to die. I'm going to kick the bucket. Jason Shores decided to kick the bucket 80, 85. Okay. So I started to fill in the years, and I don't math very well. That's gonna be like 47 years. Okay, so like 47, 46 years that I have left on this earth, and that's longer than I am old right now. And so there's a lot of blank space to fill in there. And I'm like, okay, my wife and I are gonna serve a mission. We're gonna help foster kids. I want to buy my wife a new car. I want to start a business. And then I started to run out of things to think about. I started to run out of milestones, and I realized, oh my gosh, like most of the latter part of my life is going to have to be family. And I started to think about family, and then I started to think about grandkids and kids, and my kids going on missions, and my kids helping them start their businesses, and going around like on a cross country trip with all of the younger kids once my older kids are out of the house. And I thought about colleges, and I thought about family reunions, and I thought about all the different things that will fill my life in the latter part of my life. And I'm like, oh my goodness, how single-sided have I been? How narrow-sided have I been in focusing so much on work and not thinking about the future of family? How narrow-minded is that to just think about that? And it never really hit me until I did that exercise. So I see people sacrificing their lives and working 70, 75, 80 hours a week and being like, oh my gosh, I worked all week. And I'm like, hey, hey sister, hey bro, like you're not going to want that accolade. You're not going to want that as a credited thing to you once you realize the expense that has been taken from your family, from the emotional currency with your family, the memories that you have lost, and all of these different opportunities. I wish that we in construction could realize what we're losing out on, what we're missing out on early, so that we don't have those regrets. We don't have that slew of regrets. And instead, we can replace that with a slew of just wonderful memories and experiences and services and just moments that we have with our family, because moments are the molecules that make up eternity, right? So that's kind of the message. That's why it's important. Even if you're struggling to get to that executive level position, you want to become owner of a company, you want to do this, you want to do that, you want to be recognized, you want to get to general superintendent, you want to become a director, that's fine. Do not do it at the expense of your family, because you're setting a bad example and you're hurting your own life, because at the end of your life, I promise you 90% of the memories you will have will be about family. Anyway, that's my little rant. Let me go on to a quick principle here. We know there are ways that we know how to get superintendents and project managers home on time. We know tried and true methods of how to run a project, no matter what the size, to get superintendents and project managers to not work more than 50 hours a week. It's tried and true 100%. We know ways and methods to get people to walk through that front door, giving 100% and giving first without expectation. There are ways to go improve our marriages, and we don't have to wonder how to do it. It's super easy. There are books that have been written, and I'm going to share actually concepts from two of them. But the first one that I want to recommend is The 5 Love Languages. So here's the book kind of summarized, and I'm quoting this and recommending that you purchase this book, listen to it, and really make your relationship with your husband or your wife or your partner a mainstay in your life, and use that as a balanced way to make sure that you're remarkable and excellent at work, that you set a good example, that you set up the rest of your life. And guess what? If you do that, there's also a way to work the appropriate amount of hours and to be excellent at what you do at work. And remember, I have to say this, you are not a good superintendent if you have to work 60, 70, 75, 80 hours a week doing it. That's just the bottom line. If you are doing that, if you are a manager, if you are an executive, and you have to work 70, 75 hours a week to get your job done, you are not delegated enough. You are being a diminishing leader. You are not working through your people. You're not mentoring people enough. You are not doing a good job. I have to get that through your head. Until you realize that, until you stop getting your feeling of importance from there and actually get it by developing people and delegating and taking care of your family and setting a good example, we're not going to get to where we need to be. So let me go through the summary of this book. People speak different love languages. So if you can get to the point where you're not working too much and you can be home with your partner or your spouse, you have to realize that the things you like, they probably don't like. After a lot of years of marriage counseling, Chapman, the author of this book, Chapman's conclusion is that there are basically 5 emotional love languages, 5 ways that people speak and understand emotional love. And he believes that once you identify and learn to speak your spouse's or your partner's primary love language, you will have discovered the key to a long-lasting and loving marriage. Because here are some concepts that we need to understand, I think, to make this work. We have been led to believe that if we are really in love, it will last forever. But then that kind of dies off and the honeymoon period wears off, and then love kind of runs its course, and we feel like it's just that's the way it's going to be, or I need to get a divorce or break up and go find somebody else. And those aren't the only 2 options that we have. There's a third option, there's a third alternative, which is great, which is we can recognize that an in-love experience is basically a temporary emotional high, and that we can now pursue real love with our spouse, which is taking care of their emotional needs, which gives them currency and energy and time and effort and hope and love to the point that they have extra to give you. In fact, any of you lean practitioners out there that are listening, there's a great game called Silent Squares. When I played that game, that's the first time that I really understood that if you give first, then you get. And you get because you've given other people what they need and they are whole enough to help you. So if you can listen to your partner's needs and requests and complaints, those are some of the most powerful indicators of his or her primary love language. And you can then go take care of that when you're home. whether it's service or whether it's words of affirmation or whether it's quality time or whatever it is. When you get home and you walk through that door and you've had a tough day on the construction project, but hopefully you're listening to me in these podcasts and you're like, I have it all written down. I have my day plan. I've delegated to my foreman. I've delegated to the project engineers. I have everything in stable systems. I have a high functioning team. I have organizational health. I have all of these things. When I walk through this door, my mind is clear. Everything's written down. I'm 100% ready to go, right? If you can do that, then you can come home and make sure that you are loving your partner even when they might not be in a good mood, even when there might be differences, even when you guys might like different things. So the 5 love languages are: number 1, words of affirmation; number 2, quality time; number 3, receiving gifts; number 4, acts of service; and number 5, physical touch. So let's go through these one by one. Words of affirmation. This love language expresses love with words that build up your partner. Basically, verbal compliments, telling somebody that they're important, even short, simple phrases, things like that can mean the world to people. If you notice people that are like this, you have to tell them how special they are. You have to verbalize this. These can be things like, hey, you look really good in your clothing today, or hey, you always make me smile, or I feel safe around you, or you're really incredible at this. Words mean a lot to this type of person, to this love language. This can be in your spouse or in your children. And compliments like, and I love you, can just go a long way. Even if it doesn't look like it or sound like it or feel like it, if you have somebody in your life that needs words of affirmation, that is an absolute need, and we need to fill it. Now, let me just give you a little bit of insight in an argument that my wife and I get into a lot. And we get into the argument of, is it a need or a want? And really, why does it have to be like that? If we're out in this world to give and we know that with our spouse that we love them and we want what's best for them, why are we even assessing or asking the question if it's a need or a want? Even if it's perceived, it makes your partner happy, and you don't have to feel controlled. Like Brandon said in the podcast 2 days ago, I think, it's authentic when you decide to give to your partner willingly and graciously and charitably, and that's not controlling and that's not unauthentic. It is truly authentic to make the decision to give to somebody, even if it's a need or a want or whatever, or a perceived need. What's the difference? We're here to make other people happy. Okay. Number 2, acts of service. Your partner, your family member might have this love language, and they'll basically say things like, actions speak louder than words. You can come home and say, I love you, but if you didn't, pick up the mail or pick up your socks or go get, a glass of water, or, I don't know, do any little act of service. Maybe it's doing the laundry. Maybe it's helping with the dishes. Maybe it's changing the diapers. These little acts of service, somebody will associate as love. And if you are discounting even a little bit the association, I'm telling you, if you think about like neural pathways and like these huge 24-inch diameter like pipes versus these little like 2-inch diameter pipes, some people, they'll have like 4 love languages that are like 2-inch diameter, and then this one love language, which is this like 2-foot huge mental pathway. It's the only way they process information. So like that is the way they speak love. And you might be like, well, how can you communicate love through service or through touching? What I'm telling you, our brains communicate that through certain neural pathways. And if that is their love language, that is how they perceive love. I'll give you a quick example. Like, I'm a feeling person and my wife's a thinking person. That's how we process the world. That's our MBTI, our Myers-Briggs test. When I go to the store, I'll literally look at something and I'll be like, I'll feel like I want to buy that. I'll grab it, throw it in the cart, and pay for it. And I come home to my wife, and she's like, "Why'd you buy that? What were you thinking?" I don't know. I just saw it. I grabbed it. I felt like I wanted it, and I put it in the cart, and I paid for it. And she's like, "Well, what were you thinking?" I'm like, "I wasn't thinking anything. I wanted to buy it. What don't you get about that?" And she's like, "But you had to have like thought about the comparative price, and do we have any at home?" I'm like, no, I didn't. I felt like I wanted it. I threw it in the cart. What you So people with different ways of learning and processing and loving will never probably understand each other, but we have to understand that it's real. That if somebody has a neural pathway and that's how they get information, That's just the way it is. We can't question it. We just have to understand it, right? Number 3, receiving gifts. This love language isn't necessarily like materialistic or greedy. It just means that a meaningful or thoughtful gift really makes them feel special, right? It could be ice cream. It could be a ring. It could be a birthday present. It could be anything. Just these little simple acts of kindness are huge for this person. Number 4, quality time. This love language is all about undivided attention, not just spending time together, but like really focused, not distracted, paying attention. That's really hard for the construction professional, especially when we're stressing about change orders and anchor bolts and the crane setup the next morning, right? But we have to be able to, and hey, here's the plug for the, keeping a personal organization system and listening to some of my other podcasts is get that information off onto your standard systems and give your spouse undivided attention. No television, no smartphones, no other distractions, just one-on-one quality time. This is huge for the person that has that as a love language. Now, number 5, physical touch. To people with this love language, nothing is more impactful than the physical touch of their partner. And they're not always like over the top, like just clingy and touchy and things like that. But if you touch them, then it's super impactful. Now, my love language is almost 100% touch. Now, guys have to be careful about this because all guys are interested in touch and sex. But what we have to understand is that some people, in addition to that, also like really have a primary love language of touching. And that's mine. In fact, I was at a Tony Robbins event one time and we were supposed to communicate to just some random person in the crowd, true love. And then they would give you feedback on what it was. And I was really trying to verbalize it. And I didn't notice, but I accidentally touched her on the shoulder like 3 times. And she was like, Jason, you're trying to tell me how much like you pretend love me, but like your primary love language is touch. You accidentally touched my shoulder 3 times and didn't notice it. And that's true. Like if Katie says something, gives me gifts, spends quality time with me, whatever, I don't really process it. But if she even grabs me on the arm, I'm like, oh, it's okay. Life is happy. You know what I mean? Because then it's like, okay, she does love me because that sends communication through my neural pathways, the ones that I've strengthened, that's unique to me, that yes, I am loved. So here are some questions that you can use to analyze what your spouse's love language is and go take care of it. Number 1, how does your spouse respond when you try to show affection? Number 2, on a scale of 0 to 10, how full is your love bank or your love tank? Number 3, how can you pinpoint a time in your marriage when reality set in and you weren't feeling the love? What was different? How did this affect your relationship? How can you get back to the ideal state? What would you most like to hear your spouse say to you? What is it in your marriage that detracts you from spending quality time? Reflect on ways to give gifts, even if finances are tight. Number 7, many acts of service will involve household chores, but not all of them. What are some non-chore ways you can serve your spouse, your partner? Number 8, recall some non-sexual touching times that enhance intimacy between the two of you. Did you guys appreciate that? Was that something that built on your relationship? Number 9, do you think by now that you have a good sense of what your spouse's love language is? What about yours? How can you merge those and how can you sacrifice for each other? A key thought here is the idea of speaking your partner's love language, even if it's not natural for us and it's sincere and it's authentic because we're choosing to do this to make them feel more significant and more happy. Now, there's a reason I'm telling you all this, because if I just said, hey, stop working 65 hours and you go home and there's nothing for you to do, right? And there's no purpose to life and you're just watching TV, that's just as bad as before. We don't need to be wasting our time on watching Lost and other things like that. We need to be living a remarkable life at work and then coming home and serving our family, spending time with the people we love, then go watch our shows with our spouses at strategic times. But this 5 languages roadmap will really help us to make sure that we're doing a gut check and providing a remarkable life for the ones that we love. So I highly recommend that you read it. Now, this is probably the simplest and best system that I've recommended to people in construction. Let me tell you of some other basic needs, though. These have to be met for any of this to work. And guys, you just have to understand it and deal with it. And girls, you just have to understand it and deal with it. Or anybody in between, if this pertains to your partner, your spouse, you just need to understand it, embrace it, and be giving and give first and be that go giver in life. Because whether we think these should be the norms or not, statistically, this is what happens, that men and women have basic needs in addition to love languages, which will make sure that they're fulfilled and happy. Here are the basic needs of men and women typically in marriages. We'll start with her needs. Number one, affection. There has to be affection, focused, attentive affection in a marriage where you really care about her feelings and you're connecting on an emotional level and not just a physical and superficial level. Number two, conversation. Most women statistically want to be talked to and they want time to talk and they want to have meaningful conversations. Number three, they want honesty and openness. The best example is my wife grabs my phone all the time and reads my text messages and things like that. If I was like, hey, that's my phone and I'm private about that and I have secrets and things that I keep, that breaks down a marriage for a woman statistically, almost universally. Number four, even though in our society, thankfully, men and women are both equal in the fact that they have careers and jobs and they earn money, women, for the most part, really want a man to be financially stable and to be able to financially support the family and at least to provide his fair share in the marriage. Financial support is a key part here. Also, number five, family commitment. A woman wants a man to participate in rearing the children, changing diapers, getting bottles, cooking dinner sometimes, doing chores, being attentive with the kids, taking them out to play, being a good daddy. That is a key thing for women in a marriage, and those are the five key needs: affection, conversation, honesty and openness, financial support, and family commitment. Now, if you've heard any of those and you're like, that shouldn't be like that, hey, that's fine. That's fine that it shouldn't be like that. That is the way it is based on the culture that we've had over the last couple hundred years. And it hasn't gone away completely. And for the most part, these things are true. So let's go on to his needs. And ladies, do not dismiss this if you're listening to this. Number one, sexual fulfillment. Whether or not people think that's need, men have a physiological need for that, and there are certain things that drive men to want that or need that more than women. Number two, recreational companionship. Men really like it when their spouses, their partners, their wives go out on trips, whether it be hunting or fishing or going out on the boat or going jogging or whatever. Recreational companionship is a big deal. In fact, when I went through these, I'm like, I don't really like that. And then when Katie started going to the lake with me on the boat, I was like, oh my gosh, this really is a big thing for me. I love doing stuff with my wife. Number three, an attractive spouse. Men are visually, and when I say stimulated, don't think that's inappropriate. I'm saying seriously, men are biologically more visual and visually stimulated, and it's important for men to have an attractive spouse. Now, does that mean we objectify? No. Does that mean we take it to inappropriate levels? No. But does that mean in a marriage that it's healthy every now and to look attractive? Absolutely. Having an attractive spouse, partner, or girlfriend is a very important thing. Number four, domestic support. That means, and I'm not saying it should be, but it is, a clean house, organized finances, stability in the home is something that's really key to a male. And in fact, I can tell you from my personal life, for like 12 years of marriage, I was constantly hounding my family, be clean, be clean, be clean, be clean. And then finally I prayed about it one day, and the answer I got through revelation was, Jason, you're never going to have a clean house. So I just gave up on it. And then magically my family started being more clean, and now we live in a clean house because I stuck my nose out of it. But what it pointed to me is that I enjoy a stable, clean, organized, financially reconciled house. And if a man and a woman can partner together to do that, that's a really important need for a male. Also, admiration. Men want to feel like they are admired by their spouse, their partner, their wife, and that they are important and that they're special to the people around them. So let me summarize his needs again: sexual fulfillment, recreational companionship, an attractive spouse, domestic support, and admiration. So those are the basic building blocks. And if you have those, then you can take it over the top and provide fulfillment and enjoyment and happiness and love to your spouse by focusing on their love language and coming home ready to give 100%, ready to break through that door, give first, expect nothing, and live a remarkable life. So The current situation that we're dealing with in construction, again, is that we work too many hours. People think that they are going to get promoted and that they're going to get recognized and that they're good at what they do when they work 70, 75, 80 hours. And some people actually reward that, and it's a shame, because they're going to look back on their life and they're going to have regrets because they traded something that's eternal for something that's temporary, right? That's the current industry condition. We have superintendents and PMs working till 5:36, and then field engineers think that they can't leave because they don't want to basically not follow the example of their leaders and their peers. We have people in construction getting divorces. We have 36-year-olds getting heart attacks. We have people with not taking time to go jog. We have people not taking time to take care of their health. We have rampant dysfunction with families, with our children, and we really need more people speaking up for the family, for family unity, for health at home, for personal health, and for taking care of our partners and spouses. And here's why selfishly employers need to focus on this. Your people will be better at work if they're better and happier at home. And that's just a fact. So here's the challenge. When you come home, find a way to go in that door with full energy. Go into that door, through that door with full enthusiasm, deciding that you are going to give first. And then you will get your needs met. Help around the house, change some diapers, help with the dishes, learn your spouse's love language, learn yours, and try and give to each other in a way that life can be remarkable. And for the love of God, please go home on time. You just need to set a timer and go home on time. And if you do that, two things will happen. You'll be happier at home, and you will be a better builder, better leader, and better executive at work, because you cannot learn how to organize and do what you need to do if you can't get it done in 65 hours. And understand that making your spouse, your husband, your wife whole can also be done. That same method can also be done in an appropriate way with your children. That your children will have love languages of, touch, of acts of service, of gifts. And so if my daughter, my son has that love language of touch, am I giving them a hug? Am I praising them verbally if their love language is, words of affirmation? Am I giving gifts every now and then if that is their love language? We need to find that out. And if we do, we can live a remarkable life. So in closing, the vision for this would be that everyone in construction has a better balance, that we can say, man, my marriage is so much better. My children are so much better. My family is so much better. And I just feel like I can come to work every day, know that it won't sacrifice my family. I don't have crash landings. I don't have failed projects. I know how to go do these things. I'm partnering with other people. I'm listening to this really cool podcast. And we have people that are happy at home and can look at the course of their lives at the end of their life and say, wow, look at all of those accomplishments and memories instead of a slew of wasted regrets. And that's the vision for this. So if you have any clarifications, feedback, if you want to do a podcast interview, please reach out to me at jason@elevateconstructionist.com, or check us out on our website or our Facebook or LinkedIn page. We would love to help. I would like you to say, wow, I know tomorrow a method that I can use to go live a remarkable life and take care of my family, because that is the purpose. That's what we need to do. That's the challenge. Let's do it. On we go.
Please join us next time in elevating the entire construction experience for workers, leaders, and companies coast to coast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to share with your construction colleagues and help us spread the word by rating, subscribing, and leaving a review on your preferred podcast listening platform. We really appreciate it. We'll catch you next time on the Elevate Construction Podcast.